We are in Parashat Vayera, so we're going to learn a little bit from the drashot, from the teachings of the Ben Ish Chai, and we're in a very exciting parasha, and all the plagues. That's a Hollywood production, what was going on there. Many people think it was like a few-day thing, a few plagues, and finish with it. It was a serious show. But nevertheless, much more happened than what we know. And the Torah chooses what to tell us, so I can take something from that and learn from that. If I just read the Torah as to get some historical facts, then why are you bothering to read the Torah? The Torah is not a history book. The Torah is called Torah because it comes from the word in Hebrew, hora'ah, to teach. That's why it's not correct to say Bible, because it's not a Bible, it's a Torah. So I know many people, Jews and non-Jews, they call the Torah a Bible. So it's not correct. The Torah should be called Torah, and not any other type of a book, because the Torah is here to teach me something. I came here to the world, I'm clueless. We're all clueless here. And Hashem gave us a present, and He did us a favor, and He says, here, learn this book. And this book will teach you what you need to do in this world. We spoke about it, if you remember Tuesday, when we had a very interesting class about living a life of truth. And I was telling you that we have this big clock over there, so I can see the seconds running all the time. Here's another one running, 26, 27, so 28, 29. Life is ticking. And if you don't keep your hand on the pulse, then you find yourself many years later saying, oh my gosh, I just snoozed through 20 years. Where was I? What did I do? So the Torah is coming to tell me how to fill my days. And there's a famous quote with Avraham Avinu. She says, Avraham Zaken Baba Yamim. Avraham Avinu was old, and he came with all his days. So old, okay, so it was 175. That's not too bad. But nevertheless, Zaken means Zaken Shekana Chokhmah. He acquired a lot of wisdom. And Baba Yamim means that he lived every day to the fullest. There wasn't a day that he was missing something. That's what we say, Aleva Eleno. I wish to have such a thing. If we can have somehow in a whole year to fill in one full day, then that we're lucky too. What I mean to fill one full day is that, let's say we have a full year, 365 days in general, and sometimes now this year we have a leap year, it will be a different count, but nevertheless, that's from the 24 hours a day, 60 minutes an hour, and so forth, that if I take all my days of the year, maybe I can fill one full day of a perfect day. That's what I mean. That's kind of like what we are aiming to. On Rosh Hashanah, the Kadosh Baruch Hu Hashem takes all of our prayers from the entire year, puts them together, and hopefully can build one good prayer. Because if you go through the entire prayer of Shacharit, the entire prayer of Mincha and Arvit, are you really focused the entire time? No. So you should try at least that every day you are focused on at least one or two verses, that eventually you can connect the entire prayer and build one big prayer the entire year. But Avraham Avinu was able to do it every day, perfect day. We're not Avraham Avinu, although we have something. He left us something. We got a Yerusha, inheritance, which means that we are connected to him. And whatever the fathers did, Maseh Avot Siman Lebanim. The action of the father is giving us a path, what to go on. If you're smart, then you follow your parents, assuming the parents are going on the right path. I mean, some parents are not going on the right path. But assuming the parents are going on the right path, the Rambam says, Shema b'ni musar avicha, v'al titosh Torah timecha. You should listen to the musar, to the teachings of your father. Usually the father is the one who will patch in the musar. Where are you doing wrong? And al titosh Torah timecha, don't desert the Torah, the teachings of what your mother gives you. Your mother will bring you more love and affection and so forth. But nevertheless, assuming the parents are going on the right path, you want to follow in that path. That's why we constantly say Elokeinu v'Elokei Avoteinu. Why we always say that in the prayer? Have you ever thought why you're saying that? Most people go through the prayer, they're not even thinking what they're saying. 3 times a day you say Elokei Avraham, Elokei Yitzchak, Elokei Yaakov. Why you say that? Why don't you say Elokei Moshe or Elokei David? Why dafka these 3? And also we always say Elokeinu, our God, and Elokei Avoteinu, and the God of our fathers. So we mention, just because I already said that, and I don't want to leave you with a question, why do we mention Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov? They represent in the spiritual term three Sfirot, Chesed, Gvura, and Tiferet. When I mention their name, I arouse the midah that they rooted from, so that midah, this attribute, will shine on me and affect me. So when I say Elokei Avraham, I'm arousing the midah of Chesed in the heavens, so Chesed should shine upon me. Elokei Yitzchak, I'm arousing the midah of Gvura, and so forth. Needless to say that when I mention their names, if I do it with the right kavanah, I also call them as my defense attorneys, as coming to stand by me. My prayer is worthless because this mouth curses and lies and slanders and says Lashon Hara and not so particular about my kosher diet. So why would my prayer be heard at the end of the day? You think that your prayer will be heard if the same mouth cursed a minute before that or slandered somebody? It's not going to work. It doesn't work like that. So chas v'shalom, don't say, I say Lashon Hara all day long, so I might as well not pray. That's not the right attitude. But you have to understand that I'm using this tool for something positive. Why should I use it for something negative? And if I'm using it for something negative, don't think that the positive will be so much heard. So anyways, I need to get as much as zchuyot, as much as merits with me when I pray, when I do different mitzvot. But when we mention Elokei Avoteinu, is because we go on the path of our fathers. So how do you think we know everything? Because we heard it from our fathers, and our fathers heard it from their fathers, and their fathers heard it from their fathers. So, with that said, then the Torah is coming to not only tell me historical events, which are important. I completely ignore the historical events, because what the Torah is saying is not even a fraction of what happened. Rather, it's coming to teach me something. And if I read it as a story, then I'll go home with a story. If I look at the Torah, what the Torah is trying to tell me, that I will say, now I have something to take with me so I can learn how to apply it in my life. The reason why I'm saying all that, because we're going to learn something today that, doesn't say in the Torah. It's brought from the Midrash, but nevertheless, that's the lesson behind it. So, we're just going to quote 2 verses from this parasha. The first verse is when Hashem told Paro, Ko Amar Adonai, that's what so Hashem said, Bezot teda ki ani Hashem, ani Adonai, I am God. With my plagues, you're going to know I am the God. Paro was pretending to be a God. And Hashem says, I'm going to show you that I am the boss here. Now, that was right before the plague started, because we talked about it throughout the week. Couldn't Hashem just drop a nuclear bomb on Mitzrayim and finish with it? Why did he make this whole production? This whole thing took a whole year. Just finish with it. So there's a reason for every plague. So now he's posing a question here, and again we're reading from the drashot, the teachings of the Ben Ish Chai on the parasha, and he's asking on this verse, Yesh lavin ma ta'am haka rishona. What was the point of the first plague? Every plague has a reason for that. It was not stam that they made a lottery. Okay, what should we do? Should we put Coca-Cola in the water? No, how about blood? Oh, that's a good idea. So there was a reason for that. So first of all, what was the reason for the first plague, and why did the first plague hit directly the Yaor, the Niles, and not something else? So he says here, Bezot teda, with this plague, you're going to know that I am the God. Not with other plagues, with this plague. Also, another thing he's asking, Lama lo amar lo vehine lo shamata? Why didn't he told him and you didn't hear? Because Hashem knew that he's not going to hear. He should have told him, Havel elemeimar vetema'en leshalcham. Instead of saying you would not hear, you should have said you will delay their letting them go. That's technically what the Torah should have said. He says instead of it, you didn't listen. Why did Hashem say you didn't listen? Doesn't make sense. It makes sense you didn't listen, because at the end of the day you will let them go. You're just now stalling. You're not letting them go right away. Now he says here, we found, דמיצינו דפרעה השיב תחילה בביאה הראשונה, לא ידעתי את השם. What did Pharaoh answer to Moshe Rabbeinu when Moshe Rabbeinu came to Mitzrayim and talked to him? Hashem? I don't know who Hashem is. Now imagine how some individual, thank you, is going now to a world leader and telling him, Hashem told me to tell you to leave the Israelis and the Jews alone. The leader would be like, who's Hashem? I never heard of him. So Pharaoh says, I never heard of Hashem. I don't know him. Maybe open the yellow pages. Maybe we'll see if we find him. I don't know who Hashem is. What did he say? Lo yadati et Hashem. I don't know him. The Arizal explains, Piresh Hari HaKadosh, this is brought in Sha'ar HaKavanot, in the gates of the intentions, page 80. He says, Shelo yodea b'shem havaya, v'rak haya yodea b'shem Elokim. Paro didn't know God is in such a high level that comes in the form of the name Yud Kei Vav Kei. He knew that there's a God, but he called him Elokim. He didn't know that there's something above that. And Elokim is the power of nature. Since Paro and his sorcerers knew how to manipulate nature too, which by the way they didn't really manipulate the nature like what God does, rather they were able to do I don't know if you call it a trickery, but they were able to do an illusion. It wasn't that they were able to actually change the form of nature like Hashem does. Rather, they made some type of an illusion that it looked like they changed. So they were able to also perform the miracle of the blood, and to also to turn a staff into a serpent, and also to produce a frog. But once it came to the lice, that's where they stopped. But nevertheless, the Ari HaKadosh explains that Paro, he didn't know, he couldn't fathom that there's a level greater than the God that controls nature, and then there's a level that is called Yud Kei Vav Kei. Veyadua, and we know Sheshem Havaya poel lemala min hateva, the name Yud Kei Vav Kei is operating above nature. Now is not, we don't have time now to explain what does it mean the names of Hashem, but to bring it in a very short definition, Hashem has many ways how he relates with the world. So I can relate with you with talking. And I can relate with you, I'll send you a text message or an email. Or I can do with my hands. Today there was an interesting fellow that came here in the morning. Maybe some of you heard him. He was making songs and all sorts of nonsense. And I don't think he was drunk, but he was doing all sorts of moves, whatever. He was saying that once he was a boxer and he was, going... Anyways, a funny fellow, Bekitzu, make a long story short, making everybody laugh here. So at some point he turned to one of the guys and he spoke with him in Hebrew, and the guy told him, I don't know Hebrew. So he told him in a very broken English, you don't know English, Hebrew. So he says, I don't know Hebrew, but I know sign language. I know body language. So, so bottom line is that I can communicate with you in many different ways. With my body language, with my words, I can send you an email, I can send you a letter, I can send a message to tell you what I want to tell you. So God also relates with us and the world in many different ways. So the way God relates to the world in many different ways, you can call it an attribute. It can relate to the world with kindness, with chesed. It can relate to the world with gvura, with severity. But every one of these motions, they're also titled with a name. Like my name is Alon and yours is Sarah and whatever it is, we have names. Why do we have a name? Why do I need a name? Why don't you just name us with numbers? You are number 2, number 3, raise your hand please. So what are you? Number 374. So it would be much harder to remember names. Can you imagine remembering everybody's name, numbers? But nevertheless, the name is, so to say, your business card. It represents who you are, your essence, your actions, your thoughts. So the names of Hashem represent a way how he's relating and communicating with the world. And it's much more deeper than that. I just want to kind of title the idea behind the name. So the Ari HaKadosh says that Paro knew the name Elokim. He knew that the type of godliness or the godly revelation corresponding to the name Elokim, that's what he was, he knew it. And Yud Kei Vav Kei, he didn't know. Now we know that Yud Kei Vav Kei is operating above nature. What does it mean above nature? The name Elokim, just that that we see how precise everything is. The numerical value of the name Elokim is 86, which is the exact numerical value of the word Hateva, nature. So Teva is limited. The nature is limited. The sun will always rise in the east and always go down in the west, and there's always going to be everything exact the same thing in nature. One of the things that is most dominating in nature is time. There's no time in the world above. In the world above, we're missing two things is missing in the world above that we have here, or more right to say that we have two things here that doesn't exist in the world above. And one of them is time, and the other one is space. And Hashem wanted to create the world. He needed a place where to put the world, and then to bound the world with time. There's no time in the world above. So the name Yud Kei Vav Kei, when you write it down, you can break it into segments, and you can read it Haya, Hoveh, Yihiyeh. Was, is, will be. Past, present, future. So the name Yud Kei Vav Kei is above nature. It's not limited to nature. And this is something our mind will never be able to relate with. How can it be that there's no time? How can it be that Hashem knows everything? Because He sees the future. But how can He see the future if He's in the present? This is a maze in our mind that will never be solved. Our mind will never be able to realize and figure out how can it be that there's no time in the world above. How could it be? I'll give you a simple example. Today, one of our members here, she has a mother that has a yahrzeit. So she was asking, and many people ask, how can it be that we mark every year? So how does it work in the world above? Whether they have years there? How can we be when in the first year we count 11 months? Because with the trial of a wicked soul is 12 months. So what? It's exactly 12 months there. If we counted here 12 months and Shamayim is 12 months, it's not 12 months. So how is this relation? So one example out of many, which is not precise, but just to give an idea, if you now stand and the sun is hitting you from the back, then you're going to have a shadow on the ground. If the sun moves a little bit, then the shadow moves also, right? Sometimes you see it now with videos, they do fast forward on the video, and you see the shadow moves fast. You know how many miles the sun has to move in space for your shadow to move 1 millimeter on the ground? Hundreds of thousands of miles. The sun has to move. Doesn't matter right now who's moving right now, but the distance, what has to move in the space, just to move a millimeter in this world. Which means that a millisecond in this world is hundreds of thousands of, so to say, years or light years in the world above. And this is just an example, because in the world above there's no time. So we know that the name Yud Kei Vav Kei, it operates above nature. And the name Elokim operates in nature. This is the, so to say, I like calling it more the garment. Because I can now wake up in the morning and I wear one type of garment. So in this garment, I am the rabbi of the shul. Then in the afternoon, I change my garment and I put dirty clothes on and I clean the front porch. Now I'm the cleaner of the shul. And then in the evening, I put workout clothes and I work out. Now I'm I don't know what. Told the clothes are different. So at home, I'm the father. Here, I'm the teacher. There, I'm something else. Hashem also changes his clothes all the time. And when Hashem, so to say, operates in nature, then He puts on Himself this beautiful garment that we call nature. And we just see it as nature, but really it's Hashem wearing an unbelievable garment. And He's able to operate with trillions and trillions of details, and we just see it as nature. We perceive it as nature, but it's basically Hashem revealing Himself in some type of a beautiful garment. So nevertheless, Hashem operates in nature. Now, we know that if Pharaoh would not deny of the existence of Hashem, Im lo haya Paro makrish ve'omer mi Hashem, then you know what would be the reaction? Hashem would do all the miracles in a positive way. That's all it takes. Just admit. Admit that I am God, the plagues would not be plagues, the miracles would be positive. That's all I say. Right? Moshe Rabbeinu gave him a chance. Surrender now. What does he say? Let's read it from inside. Haya modia lo Hashem yitbarach koach shem havaya poel benes neged hateva bedvarim shel tova. If you just admit, I am God and not you, I will still strike Mitzrayim, but with positive things. Because what did Hashem want to show us? That I am God. Bazet teda she'ani Hashem. Hashem says, I'm enough. I've done it. I had it up to here with all this idol worship. I want everybody to know I am God. So all it took the Pharaoh to say, I surrender. This in itself, this is not the point of what I want to teach today, but this in itself is a lesson. We can stop the class right now and go home. All you need to do is to admit that God is God and life is good. The more that you go against God and you're trying to prove that God is not in control, then the plagues, the makot, are coming in a negative way. Hashem says, just admit, just surrender. Surrender and I'll show you my miraculous acts in a positive way. You'll get married, you'll have kids, you'll have parnasa, you'll have yirat shamayim, you'll have God-fearing. Everything will be good. You're trying to go like this against Hashem. Hashem says, okay, so I have to do some plagues here. So this in itself is just enough, just for us to understand. Just surrender. Sometimes you just need to surrender to Hashem. Today in the morning we had a long night. As usual, we always have long nights. So, but nevertheless, today again, another long night. And in the morning I was telling a certain individual, it doesn't matter what's going on right now. And I told him, don't you understand, Hashem just wants your attention. Because a lot of bad things happened around one individual. And I say, Hashem wants your attention. Do tshuva. Come and pray with us. Learn. Increase in Torah. And do tshuva. You did not some good things. Do tshuva. Hashem is now slapping you all over the place because you did some not nice things against some people you shouldn't have done what you did. That's it. Do tshuva. Just surrender to Hashem. That's it. You surrender to Hashem, that's how you win His heart. Very simple. Same thing here. The Ben Ish Chai says, it took Hashem told Pharaoh, just admit, I am the God, that's it. There wouldn't be plagues. I will make beautiful miracles. You would wake up in the morning and the trees would deliver you gold bullions, whatever it is. I can make whatever miracle I want. Right? But Pharaoh, no, against. This is, we see the klipa, the manifestation of Pharaoh in our life. This, no, I'm going to go against. I'm going to show them who I am. Nevertheless, the Kadosh Baruch Hu said, all you need to do is surrender. Now we continue. And he says, not only that you wouldn't get afflicted with anything, you would get rewarded. That's what he says. שהיה עושה בו ניסים של טובה לישראל לפני פרעה ולפני עבדיו. He would do, all the miracles will be positive. You know, we have a prophecy that it says, כמי צאתך מארץ מצרים הראינו נפלאות. The way that you went out of Mitzrayim, that you're going to go again out of Mitzrayim in this redemption, and I'm going to show you wonders. We also have this, by the way, this option. Either we surrender and the coming of Mashiach will be miraculous, that we're going to have our jaws open, or chas v'shalom, it's not going to be in that way and it's going to come as strikes. And then our jaw is also going to be open, but in a negative way. There's nothing different here. But, what does it say here? Ach mazalo, the mazal of Paro, garam she'amar, lo yadati et Hashem. Paro didn't have mazal. His mazal went against him. And he caused him to say, I don't know who Hashem is. I don't know him. And then, what did he say? Mi Hashem asher eshma bekolo. Who is God that I should listen to him? Oh, you're messing with the wrong person, Mr. Paro. You're saying who is God to mess with? Okay. ובזה נתחייב עונש גדול. The fact that he came out loud and says, who is God that I should listen to? Right away, a big punishment came upon him. ועל כן ראה את הניסים שהם נגד הטבע. That's why Hashem took nature and completely distorted nature to show him, oh yeah, I'm not going to strike you something with above nature. I'm going to show you how I take nature and I completely mess it around. Hashem could have done miracles that, I don't know what, the sky would open and aliens will come in and I don't know what. Hashem has a lot of directors up there to figure out how to make it happen. But specifically Hashem says, I'm going to take the nature that you believe in and you think you have control over it, and I'm going to show you how I decode the nature. How do you do that? דברים הנעשים על ידי שם הוויה. Only the name of Yud Kei Vav Kei can come into the nature and to start messing up nature. And what did he do it? לרעתו. They did against Paro. Now I don't look at myself as Paro, but I look at Paro as an image to let me understand that when you go against Hashem, Paro went against Hashem, you rebel against Hashem, you pretend that you are a big shot, then Hashem makes you this big. That's how I'm looking at things. I'm not looking at Paro as my hero, chas v'shalom, or at a teacher. But I'm seeing, I like doing measure for measure. Paro behaves a certain way, he got punished the same way. Why do you think it's different for me? If I go and rebel against Hashem, then Hashem is going to do the exact same thing. Not in the same measure like Paro, but nevertheless, we have to read between the lines and see what the Torah is telling me. Now he continues and he says, we asked, how come Paro says that I didn't listen, instead of saying I will stall them leaving. ואתה אמרת לא שמעת עד כה. Paro says, I don't want to listen. משם הוויה, who's the י' כ' ו' כ', על כן, therefore, כה אמר השם בזאת תדע כי אני השם. That's where Hashem answered him. Oh yeah? Now I'm going to show you who's Hashem. You don't know? You're saying you don't know who I am? I will show you who I am. שאם מזלך טוב, היית יודע כוחו של שם הוויה. If your mazal was good, then you would know who's Hashem. Which this is another thing that comes to teach us that a lot of people are very fixed on this mazal thing. So last week I was in the States. Then we want to draw big crowds. So the topic has to be something that draws big crowds. If I'm going to talk about Yirat Shamayim, we'll have 3 people in the crowd. So I have to talk about things that will bring people into the crowd. So one of the lectures was about dreams and mazal. Ooh, wall to wall, there wasn't room there. Everybody wants to hear, how do I change my mazal? So that's what a lot of people want to know. They want to know, they believe in their mazal. Now mazal, if you translate it, is luck. But it's not the type of luck that you go to Vegas and you're like, give me the 7. This is not the luck we're talking about. Rather the mazal, to give the definition of mazal in a few words, mazal is the tools that Hashem gives you to operate in this world. That's your mazal. So if Hashem wants you to be rich, so you can do a lot of kindness, your mazal will be the source that will bring you money, only for you to do kindness. Now I bumped into a friend on the way up here. We started talking, and he reminded me where we met a few years ago. I gave a lecture somewhere in Monsey, in a shul, and the shul is named, I guess, under the founder, Scheiner or Shainer, something like that. And I told him, okay, and he told me, you don't know who the guy is? Well, I never heard of him. And she told me some individual, there was a simple individual. He was a Chassid of the Tosh Rebbe from Canada. And he once hired him to do fundraising. And this young individual says, me? Fundraising? I don't know how to fundraise. So he told him, no, I'll give you a blessing, you'll do fine. And then he says, well, you know what? I want you to bless me to be rich. So he says, okay, you're blessed. He says, no. I want a real blessing. I want to be very rich. He's like, okay, I'll give you a blessing. No. I want to be like super, mega rich. It's like, why do you want to be so rich? What are you going to do with all this money? He says, I'm going to do a lot of chesed, a lot of kindness. So he says, okay. And he gave him a special bracha, and this individual apparently now is a billionaire. And has buildings and yeshivot, and he's one of the biggest sponsors in Uman. I think he feeds 100,000 portions a day there. I mean, the person is a very, very rich individual. The point is, I don't even know why I said that. Where we got into that, but Mazal. The Mazal, yeah, everybody wants to be rich. One time we also wanted to fill in a hole. We titled the lecture, How to Become Rich. If we would sell tickets there, I would be rich. With how many people came. But the Mazal is the tools. It's literally the tools that God gives me to operate in the world according to what Hashem wants me to do. If I want you to paint this room, I need to give you a paintbrush. If I want you to sweep the room, I have to give you a broom, right? The Kadosh Baruch Hu says, I want you to do A, I want you to do B, I want you to do C, and He gave us the tools how to do it. That's my mazal. End of story. Now I can change my mazal, by the way. I can easily change my mazal. If I have a mazal that is not good, can get married, can give birth to a child, very bad with business, whatever, you can change your mazal. But now we're not going to learn about that. That will do a title when we need to do a lecture with a lot of people. But nevertheless, the mazal of Paro, why am I saying that? I'll explain in a second. It says, אם מזלך טוב היית, אם מזלך טוב, היית יודע כוחו של שם הוויה באופן אחר. If your mazal was good, you would realize and be acquainted with the power of Yud Kei Vav Kei in a good way, not in a bad way. Therefore, Hu nas bara'ah shelcha. Therefore, Hashem did it in a negative way for you. ותחילת הכל ברעת אלוקיך הוא היאור שילקה תחילה. And the reason why Hashem stroked the Niles, because that was the God of Mitzrayim. So if you went against the God of the world, the God of the universe, then I will strike the God, your God, which was the Niles. The reason why I'm saying why I'm mentioning this, because if a person does a lot of bad actions, sins and so forth, then he will ruin his mazal. And if a person, on the other hand, does an unbelievable amount of kindness and chesed and charity and good things, then he will also change the mazal, he or she. So you can change your mazal. Pharaoh decided and wanted to be evil and mean, so his mazal went against him. So your mazal can go against you. Chas v'shalom. I mean, you want to also feed the mazal. The mazal comes from the word in Hebrew, nazil. Or, you know, when you have a leak in Hebrew, how do you say a leak? Nezilah. When something is dripping. You know, if the faucet is open, you say a berez nozel. The faucet is leaking. That's where the word mazal comes from. Because you have a basin, so to say, of a spiritual abundance in the world above, and it's leaking to the world below. That's mazal. And you know, like an IV, you decide what goes in the IV. You can put vitamins, minerals, or whatever, you can be just water. So, now we'll know the first explanation. Why did Hashem tell them, now you're going to know that I am Hashem, because Pharaoh rebelled. Not only that, why the first Makkah was specifically on the Niles. And it's the last time I'm going to say Niles, I'm going to say Yeor, because it's not correct to say Niles. But nevertheless, people don't understand when I say Yeor. But the Makkah went on the Yeor to strike right away the God of Mitzrayim. The Yeor was the God of Mitzrayim.